back here working on the Mini Cooper. Obviously last time I didn't quite get it done. I had a lot to do and came up with a lot more things and made decisions in the middle, and yeah, it drug on for a while. So now obviously the engine's in there. Like I talked about last time, I had some clearance issues, some that I still have to work through. So I think some of the first things I need to tackle is that rear lower mount it's kind of questionable. I can't push the engine quite far enough back because it's hitting the rack. So I'm gonna have to re-drill the holes, and then hopefully I won't have to hammer the hood. I won't know until I get it all assembled. We'll see. Fingers crossed. And then also, I think I'm going to have to bash in the header a little bit because it's touching the rack slightly. We'll see how it looks once I get the engine where it needs to be. And yeah, a lot more to do, so let's see how far we get. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys this lower mount. Basically, I had these drilled twice. If you saw my previous videos when I was first putting this together, you know that I re-drilled the hole over here so that I could, move the engine so it sat like that. So I can't quite get it all the way to that hole. So basically I had to grind the hole out kind of in the middle. So it's half and half. So it's better than where the mounts originally came from, but it's not quite where it needs to be. But yeah, I did that off camera. I re-drilled that. So this is all situated. So it's about as close to the rack as it can get without having any problems. Now the issue is even with it at that angle, the header is still, you can see all the scratches right here. That's pretty much where it's contacting the rack. So, and it's not contacting very hard, like it's just barely touching. So I'm just gonna heat this area up, bash this in just a little bit, and then test fit, and in theory it should be okay. Okay, I test fit a few different times now. It still isn't clear. It's just barely touching. I've still got pretty much this whole area here. Where did I put my marks? Oh, you can see it right there. There to there. Pretty much that whole area there. Needs to come in a little bit more. And then it's just about to touch there. Which, honestly, it's not terrible. Yeah, I talk about this all the time, but if you haven't seen the Engine Masters episode with the bashing headers, you should watch it, because yeah, it's a good one. It basically tells you that you can smash these as much as you want, it doesn't matter. So a little bit more torchy and a little more hammering. All right guys, so it clears barely. Like, it might be still touching a little tiny bit, but the biggest problem right now is this. It's pointed down now, which is because the engine is sitting at a different angle. Which, if you've seen like the first or second video I did of this car, that was one of the first things I did. Is I had a different header and I had the same problem, and what I did is I heated it up here, used a jack and bent it up to get it to go straight, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do on this one. However, I don't know if I'm gonna have bash more there. I don't know. I'm gonna try bending this up, and it's possible that when I bend that up, it might actually give me more room there. I don't know. We're gonna try it, see what we can do. Okay, so I ended up heating it in a couple places. I heated it up on the top, and I tried heating it here. It's definitely a lot better than it was. It was like not even reaching at all before. This improved drastically. There's a ton of room in there now. I actually probably didn't even need to dent it that far, but it's all right. I think yeah, she'll work now. Okay, so now I'm gonna start working on cutting the intake manifold. So obviously I marked this here. This is where I gotta cut. I actually bent this, or like turned it out of the way so I can actually get in there. I might have to just take it all the way out, I don't know. And I took the coolant temp sensor out, and my new end piece, here I'll show you this. So this piece doesn't have a provision for that, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drill this and tap it. It's just a 3/8 pipe thread, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. So let's get to cutting. Okay, I got that thing to fit. Holy crap, was that a lot of work. That, honestly, cutting that and grinding it to get it to the right exact shape, dude, it took me like an hour, like not even joking. Like I ended up switching blades a bunch of times. I tried a cutting wheel, tried a sawzall, like that is some thick metal, and holy crap, does it take a long time. But it works. So now I just got to, I checked all my clearances with this to make sure this fits. So this clears now. I need to drill that hole and tap for the coolant sensor. So I think that's the next step. Okay, so here's the new problem. So this piece right here, it goes, up in there or whatever. Well, the problem is that on the other, when I had the intake manifold for the K24, it went over here and there's a spot for this coolant temp sensor. Now, because this filler neck is here, I don't have a spot to put this. And the problems that I'm running into is I could drill holes over here, but then I'm contacting the throttle body. There's not really any way to do it down there. I thought about right here, but the problem is it's already contacting this, so I can't go over. The only thing I thought maybe is that if I had like a 45-degree fitting or something, but even if I did that, it's not gonna work very well. So I don't know. Maybe I should just get one of those inline, radiator hose fucking things to put this in, or I don't know. I might move on to something else and come back to that. Okay, so the more I play with this, the more I just don't see any way I can make this work. It's just complete garbage. Because no matter how you tighten these down, they just are in the wrong spot and they just won't, there's no way they're gonna seal. Like, absolutely no way. So I think, I don't know. At the moment, I'm kind of leaning towards using the factory housing, running a hose, and then every time I have to fill it, I'm just going to have to jack up the front end like ridiculously high to get the air bubbles out, which is really going to suck, but I just don't know any other way. Like, I thought about, putting an inline radiator neck thing, but the problem is once I do the bend, it's already going to put it lower than this. So unless it's like, I guess I could have one welded on here or something. I don't know. Maybe I can find a better aftermarket one, but at the moment, I think I'm gonna try this hose idea and just move on. Okay, this is what I got going on now. So there was two little ports on the bottom of this housing. So this one, I ended up looping it into the pipe, the crossover pipe there. The backside one, I ended up drilling it out, and then I just put a pipe plug in there. So that is all situated. Once again, obviously the cylinder head and all this housing is much higher than the radiator, so it's gonna make bleeding this a pain in the ass. I do have one of those funnels, it's really big, but I'm still gonna have to jack this car up so high to get that to work. You can see kind of right here how much uphill that is. And then, yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe in the future, maybe I can weld something onto here, get it for housing. I don't know. But for the moment, we're just going to call that good enough. All right, so one of the first things I got to take care of is I got to put the belt on. So before I was running this size, a 685, and it worked great. However, now that I'm running a K20, the water pump is like a different size. It's slightly smaller. So I need a shorter belt. So I have the 663, which is what I used with that the smaller supercharger pulley. So I'm gonna try this one and see if this one works right off the bat. If it doesn't, maybe I need something in between, or maybe this other one will work, but I got a feeling I need a shorter one, so we're gonna try this first. So I already ran into a little bit of an issue. I don't know if it's because of the K20 block or because the engine is sitting in a little bit different location now, but now all of a sudden the alternator is actually rubbing right here, which that has never been an issue at all. So I guess I get to cut a little bit more out of this, which is kind of unfortunate, but I suppose it is what it is. Okay, so this is really dumb. I've never ran into this, but apparently K20 and K24 water pump housings and alternators are different. I started grinding this down because it's hitting right here. I started grinding that down, still not enough. Now it's hitting like in here, This is so dumb. I think I'm gonna have to washer it out because I don't have a K20 alternator here. I've only got K24 and I'm not trying to change out the water pump housing, so fuck, that is so dumb. All right, so I went back to, this is the belt that I had on there already. It works. I don't know if it's got quite as much tension with this tensioner, so this may have to go up. Unfortunately, I already think I'm gonna have to pound the hood some more, but I guess we'll find out when it comes to that point. So I started putting these shift cables, these shift cable bushings in, just like some eBay brand. This one fits really good. This one, it fits in here really good, but the fucking snap ring they gave me is like wrong. Look how loose this fucking thing is on there. Like, what the hell were they thinking? I literally walked this on with my fingers. I didn't even need a tool because it's that loose. So I guess I'm gonna have to go buy some snap rings so I can actually put that in. I got the bushings in there. I ended up going to Harbor Freight and just getting a whole bunch of snap rings. I got that to work. Unfortunately, this one, I can't actually get the outside washer to fit on there. There's just not enough room. This one it did, but oh well. In any case, I had to, I got those on there, and then I had to switch out the bracket because apparently the element bracket is different than an RSX and doesn't bolt up the same, but they do bolt to the cables the same, so that's fine. And then I also, I switched out this connector because they're actually different. On the RSX, the sensor is actually back there for the speed sensor, and then yeah, this one's up here. And if I remember it, I think this one's counter shaft driven and that one's main shaft driven, so they're totally different. And you actually have to put the pins in different locations, and then I have to change some settings in the computer. Yeah, which I'll do that later. But for the moment, that's all good. Oh, and then I forgot to mention when I was doing the belt, I did end up having to cut more here and had to cut more here to get all that to work in addition to all the spacing and stuff, which, you know, is unfortunate, but I guess it does make the belt changing a little bit easier. So yeah, now on to the next thing. Okay, I'm getting close to getting it back together. Obviously, intercooler, radiator is back on there, and I was just about to put the bumper support on, and I found that now because I have a K20 in there, for whatever reason, it's hitting this tab. So I need to cut this off of here because it was hitting right here. You can see where the scratches are that I was fighting. So yeah, that's cool. So I've actually test fitted this thing like 3 different times. I ended up having to cut a lot more than I thought I was going to. So I cut that tab off, and then that wasn't good enough, and then I ended up having to cut a little bit more in here. That still wasn't enough, so I ended up cutting it all the way down into here. So hopefully this time will work. Okay, it's all back together for the most part. Batteries in, everything's zip tied. I ran a new hose from the reservoir over to here. I don't have any coolant in it right now, mostly just because I want to fire it up and make sure it runs and doesn't do anything weird before I try to fill it with coolant, because I've got to put it on the wheels and, like, you know, angle it really, really high just because of my downhill situation. So I think I'm about ready, so I guess let's see if it runs. Need a battery charger. Fuck. so it does run. I thought I was hearing a weird noise. It was kind of clattery at first, but then it kind of got better. This engine hasn't ran in a long time, so that kind of doesn't surprise me. The other noise that it's making is the twin disc, which I was like double, triple checking, just making sure that's all it was, and it wasn't any other problem. But that is what it is. So I started to mess with the clutch stop on the inside because I didn't have it in there yet. I put in the clutch stop that I got from like, it's called like Burger Tuning or something like that. It's like these little shims. It's just like a push pin thing. It's not enough. I need more. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to make one. I've got a bracket here. So this is like a bracket off one of the transmissions. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this thing down, drill a new hole, and then drill a hole in the pedal and then bolt it down so that it extends out and hits the actual rubber clutch stop like earlier. Because right now, if you try to push it all the way down, you can hear it like grind, and that's really bad. That's yeah, it's pushing the crank essentially because it's pushing it too far. So I need to make sure that yeah, it doesn't do that. So we're gonna make a bracket.
Okay, so I know this is gonna be a little tricky to see, but basically what I have in mind is I have this bracket here, and I'm going to basically bolt it on something like this, essentially so that when it swings, it'll hit that clutch pad just a little bit sooner, because right now you really got to push it down far to actually hit that thing. And you can see like this is the aftermarket one with like all the different little pads in there. So it's got like a whole like 5 of them or something, but it's still not enough for this twin disc.
Okay, so now I have a new problem that I wasn't having earlier. So earlier I had to press the clutch pedal down, get it into gear, and I had to press it, not very far, maybe this far to get it to go into gear. That was like all the travel it needed. Now, for some reason, I can put this thing into gear without touching the clutch at all. What the hell? Like, I tried messing with it. I even tried like pulling up on the pedal, like nothing. It doesn't seem to matter. It still wants to just, I don't know. It's like the hydraulics are pushing the pressure plate just a little bit or something. The only thing I think is maybe I need to like shorten the rod on the slave cylinder or something. Like maybe it's too deep. I don't know. This is so, I've never experienced this before. It's really goofy. Oh man, guys, not good. So I pulled the slave cylinder off to see what would happen, see if it would still go into gear while it's running. Guess what? It does. So that means there's something mechanically wrong with that clutch, which means I have to pull the transmission back out, which means that literally everything that I've already done, I gotta redo that. Great. Well, the engine and transmission are out. Look at this shit. What the hell? It was like rubbing on the case. I've never seen that before. I don't understand if, like, what, how does that happen? Okay, so I took it all apart and I've looked at it, and like there's really nothing wrong with it other than that damage on the outside. I don't understand why that would be hitting the case. It doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be. And I can't really find an explanation for it. The other thing I can't figure out is why it was always locked. Like you couldn't, like when you press the clutch pedal down, it didn't do anything. And that's really confusing me too, because even though it had the damage right there, it doesn't have anything to do with the pressure plate right there. So it should have been able to still work. And I've checked the order of these versus, what that stupid company told me, and yeah, it all looks right. So I don't know if this clutch is just manufactured wrong, or I don't know if there's something I'm missing. I don't really know. Kind of up in the air about what to do now. Okay, so finally, the company sent me out a new pressure plate and a flywheel. As you can see, the one they sent out is slightly shorter. It's kind of funny. They were like, they were asking me questions, and they were saying that they had never seen this before. And they were like, well, if we sent you one that was 2.5 mil shorter, would it fix the problem? And I was like, I think so. I was like, possibly. It's like, I won't know until I try it. And they're like, okay, we're gonna ship you out a new one. Like, I don't understand. Did they machine this down, or did they already have one that was like this and they just sent it out? I kind of wonder if maybe they machined it specifically for me, since this is gold and that's silver. I mean, if they really like seriously had it machined just for me, damn, that's some serious customer service, and fucking hell yeah, props to them. If they just had it sitting on the shelf and they knew about this problem, like, why wouldn't you just send me the correct one in the first place? So I don't know which one it is, but we're gonna throw this shit in. You're like I was putting all the discs and stuff in that one, and I was sitting here wondering, I'm like, man, if that pressure plate's shorter, the discs are gonna sit up higher, right? And then I realized, I mean, not only did they send me a new flywheel, but I didn't understand why. Now I do. They actually this is machined down too. This is higher, this is the old one. And then that one, you can see it's almost flat. So it compensated for how tall the pressure plate is. So, awesome. All right, got the new flywheel and clutch and stuff on there. And then I took like a angle grinder with a sanding disc on it, and I brought this down, smoothed it out, brought it down a little bit more, because I don't want to have this problem again, so I'm making damn sure it's not gonna hit. Okay, I know I jumped ahead a little bit, but it's bolted in. Yeah, you guys seen me take this in and out a million times, so I figured you didn't really care. So now I gotta assemble everything else. But in the meantime, while I was, I had to take a break because I had a guy trade me wheels. So I got rid of the Road Slips, and now I got Kosei K1s. Hell yeah, I think it's gonna look fucking dope. It's gonna make it even more sleeper status. Alright, got them bitches mounted up. They're a little dirty. Ain't cleaned up, but I think this is gonna be good once I get it on the ground. Hell yeah. Honestly, got kind of excited. I had to clean them up. Get them all shined up. Yeah, they look good. I know. The car isn't done, but still looks good. Alright guys, it's all back together. Well, I mean, obviously I'm missing some things, but it's good together enough to start it. So let's see what happens. Guys, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's still doing it. It's still fucking doing it. This clutch is the biggest piece of shit in the world. So, fuck. Well, you know what that means. This bitch is coming back out. I've never pulled an engine so fast in my life. I timed myself 40 minutes to get it back out. And then about, I don't know, another 5 to take that off. Oh, God. So it wasn't rubbing. I don't know what the hell the problem is. I'm putting the other clutch in. Fuck that thing. Okay, guys. So I've had a moment of clarity, and I thought things over. And I figured out what's going on. It is the dumbest fucking thing you could possibly imagine. So, this clutch is fine. I shouldn't have pulled the engine back out. There's nothing wrong with it. And honestly, there was nothing wrong with it the first time, other than the fact that it was rubbing on the case. So, let's go to, science class and understand physics. So basically, so you understand what was going on is, in my head, I thought that I could put it into gear without pressing the clutch when it was running, which is true. That's exactly what was happening. However, I noticed that sometimes it wouldn't go into gear unless I pressed the clutch down. Well, the reason for that is I was hitting the brakes. So the entire time the wheels were off the ground, there were no wheels on it. And so it had like almost no resistance. And I don't know if you know this or if you've ever tried this, but if you have a car in the air and it's running, you can put it into all the gears without pressing the clutch because there's no resistance on the wheels stopping it from just going right in. I tested this theory on in a Accord I had in the driveway. Same thing. You can 100%. You can put it in all the gears. So, yeah, that means there's nothing wrong with this. And so it's gonna, yeah, we're gonna throw it all back together and put it back in. I talked to some of the guys, like, you know, they've, they've been working on cars forever, just like me. You know, I've been working on cars for 20 years. I cannot think of an instance where I've ever purposely tried to put a car in gear while it's running without using the clutch on a lift. Like, I can't think of a time I've ever, like, done that on purpose. So I guess I wouldn't have known. They didn't know either. They were like, "Oh, really?" And then when you really talk through it and like how a clutch works and like how a transmission works, it makes sense. It 100% makes sense. It's just not something you would think of. So enough with that stupidity. Let's put it all back together. Okay, it's that time again. It's all back together. Fingers crossed that I'm right. I'm pretty sure I am, but let's find out. Yep, 100% I was right. If you're holding the brake, it won't go in the gear unless you press the clutch. If it's you're not holding the brake, it'll go into gear without the clutch. So, time to put it the rest of the way back together. All right, got it outside running, purging the cooling system right now. Look at those wheels though. Oh man, it's so good. Everything seems to be working fine. Well guys, I'm driving it. Drives great. Engine seems to run good. The transmission seems to shift like perfect. The clutch feels pretty good. It's honestly, it's easy. I think it's slightly easier to manage than that single disc that I had, just because of where I adjusted the pedal. So I don't have to push it down as far, which is really nice. But yeah, it drives really nice. All right, so now that it's all running good, I think it's finally time to take the Haltech out and put in the Kpro, since, you know, if you guys haven't watched my previous videos, this was actually for my other car, and the only reason I put it in here is because I didn't have a computer and I had it. So I'm gonna pull this out and put the Kpro in here. So I'm probably gonna have to build some brackets to hold the Kpro. I'm gonna have to do a few rewire kind of deals, but it shouldn't be too bad. It does kind of suck. I got to pull the wideband sensor out and all that shit. I do have, you know, my Innovate, so it's going to be tied into the Kpro. But yeah, I need to get this out of here, so let's do that. Okay, it's all out of there. Basically, the only things that I really had to cut were like, these are the two nitrous controls, and that was really it. I do have to wire in, so I got to wire in those two, and then I got to wire in this one, which is the basically the data logging wire for the wideband. Now I just got to figure out how I'm going to put this in there. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I came up with. Modified one of those brackets to mount that there. Now I can run this kind of over the top, which makes that that's pretty handy. I did wire in the wideband. The only thing I didn't wire in was the nitrous stuff yet, because honestly it's going to be a while before I'm going to be able to spray on it anyway. That, and I don't really know. I'd have to do some more research to figure out where they're supposed to go. So for the moment, I need to do some tuning to get this bitch to start. All right, guys, I think that's gonna be it on this video. I did go out and I drove around a little bit, made sure drivability was good, and honestly, like, my base map was like spot on. Like, there's like the tiniest bit I'm gonna have to change for drivability. It's like hardly anything. It drives like perfect. And then like full throttle, it honestly, you know, it wasn't that far off. Like, I mean, it's, you know, I'm still gonna have to tune the whole thing, but like, it was a really good start. Like, I made it through like my low map, I made it through like the 0 VTC, started working on the 10s, because basically, I don't know if you know how you have to tune K series, or at least with Kpro, you have to tune like every VTC map separately, and then you have to put it all together. But in any case, I got all that done. It's driving like perfect. I did have I had a coupler blow off. I still need to get another clamp because I broke one. So I need to replace that, and then I also am gonna need a map sensor because this map sensor is a stock one, and I was hitting 9.4 psi at 7,000 RPMs. Granted, it's cold outside, but yeah, it's gonna go, yeah, way over that because I'm revving it way higher than I was before. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get a 4-bar map sensor so I can really spin it up good. And I'm gonna need another clear day. It honestly might be a while before you see another video because it's, yeah, I live in Nebraska, so it's yeah, it just so happened it was dry outside today, and it was like 45 degrees, so it wasn't terrible. But I know we're supposed to get snow this week, so who knows. But it's yeah, good place to stop. So like, subscribe, do all the things, and peace out.